Okay, so I'm going live. I'm not going to go on video because I've been doing laundry, I've been doing housework, and I've actually just laid down. But I noticed that the trolls are hot and heavy. Um, and a lot of people like to try to break down everything, or they have such a linear thought pattern that they struggle to compost all of the information. So I'm just here and I thought I'll break some stuff down because hi Denise, the biggest troll that I've had this evening is someone that has come on and been like, no, 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 you're taking your own assumptions. The roadside assistance man did not identify her. Listen, let me clarify. The roadside assistance man was called to aid a young girl and a male. He gave a description of them to AWP because they asked for a description. But at the time he aided them, he did not know who they were until he stated days or about a week later he saw a poster and put it together. His company then pulled the dash cam video, locked it because it's part of an investigation, and they do have positive ID per Jared in the Zav Girl interview. They do have positive ID of the male that was with her, but it is not being released because it's part of an ongoing investigation. So, while I am the most patient person on the face of the mother freaking planet Earth, I have to say, if you are going to crawl up my hind end, please get your direction appropriately correct. Now, when I'm talking about my own opinions, I'm speaking of my own opinions. But I really think what people are wanting is they don't want to go and pay to watch this because they want to try to troll people and make them go and screen record so that they can see. That is wrong. That is wrong. AWP has every right to request payment for this video. It is their property and they work on these funds that they make from these paywalls that they put out and from their donations. So I am not about to disrespect AWP and go screen record to prove myself right. Number one, because I listen intently and I know what the boy said. And number two, because I would not come on here and say it unless I had it straight. The young man at the time of the traffic stop did not know who the young woman and the boy was, the man was. AWP asked for a description. He gave a description. They asked when he basically put two and two together, and he said it was like a few days to a week later, and he saw a poster and realized what was up. So, and then they're like, he didn't know who she was. Then why in the mother freaking heck is he giving an interview to AWP if he doesn't know who she was? He still doesn't know who she was, and he had no clue. Why is he standing there giving an interview to AWP? I mean, come on, logic. Logic, people, logic. Okay, why has the dash cam been pulled and locked? Because it's part of an ongoing investigation. Therefore, they have positive ID. So that young man knows who it is now. He knows 100% who it is now. And per the interview with Jared, he put two and two together. And that's how they realized they had her on dash cam footage and they locked that dash cam footage up. Now, I'm a really patient person, but some of y'all really, really, really need to sit down and watch things two or three times. Watch things two or three times and make sure you have it correct. And when you don't get the correct information, don't go yell at somebody because they took two or three times to get the correct information. So, you know something? It's irritating. It's irritating when people come on here and they try to like dog people and dog people and dog people. Um, okay, well, when you say I think, he stated on his paperwork that the car would not start because it was in neutral. I don't know where you got put a belt in the engine because her question was how to put her seatbelt on correctly and get it locked. Michael, honey, go listen. Go listen. I can't do everything for you. Go do your own research and Stop going to other people and wanting it straightened out for you. Go and pay $7 and watch the video, or go and watch it again if you've already watched it. He thought it was odd because the female kept asking him how to put his seatbelt on, how to get it to latch correctly, and things that someone driving a vehicle should already know. To me, that means that girl was stalling and asking stupid questions, hoping that somebody would see it as a cry for help. So, this is how things get started on the internet. Is people go down the comments and they screw things up. That is why I'm so careful when I go on and talk about things, because I watched that 3 times over 4 hours to make sure that I gave you appropriate information. And I've been a patron of their site forever. So this is not just a fluke on me. This is I've done this. I've done this for a long time. I pay attention. I have a critical mindset. I've had to go on crime scenes. I've had to walk murder scenes. I've had to do PSIs for courts. That is why things stick in my brain so quickly, because I have had to provide 100% information for courts. So, you know something? I'm just trying to help. I know that not everybody has 699, so they can go and watch that. They didn't want to wait 2 days to get basically the facts. I try to put out what was basically disseminated in that video without violating AWP policy and basically hijacking their money making, because they need that. They need that for funding. So, but there's been, like, Jared gave a great interview on Zab Girl, which he actually went into even more detail about. And even more detail meant that there's a huge question as to why the dash cam video from the roadside assistance has been locked up so tight. And there are other things that are even more concerning that Jared went and shared. Go watch the Zab Girl interview. You're going to get a whole lot more information. So I just have to absolutely come on here and say, y'all, if you're going to be critical of somebody, be critical of yourself. Because I'm very critical of myself when I come on here and I share information. And if I'm sharing information and, like, you think you're talking about a belt and an engine, I cannot correct that for you. Okay? I can't fix stupid from 700, 1,000, 1,500 miles away. I do the best I can to give you appropriate information. If you cannot take that information and boil it down and apply it appropriately, I can't fix that for you. I can only do so much over a YouTube platform. I mean, honestly, I can only do so much. God gave me many blessings and many skills, but, I can't work your brain for you. I can't. So I'm trying to do the best I can to give you all information, not violate AWP's policy so that they get their funding money, but allow you all to have information so that you get to know what everybody else is getting to know. So I'm trying to do the best I possibly can. And the negativity, it's stupid. It's comical. To me, it's funny, because it's all defensive posturing. It's all defense mechanism. It's all I have a question mark. I don't know, or I think I know better than you. And rather than go and check yourself, you just take the time to argue with somebody that you don't know. And it's like, come on, guys, just go watch the video again and answer your own question. Just go watch the video again and answer your own question. When I say this all the time, don't trust anything I say to you. Go do your own research. Go do your own research. I will do the best of my ability to tell you what I know, and I will try to always tell you the truth. But don't believe anything you see on YouTube from anyone, even me. Go do your own research. But certainly, if I'm trying to give you information, don't dog me in the comments, because that dog ain't going to hunt. So I'm having a really big issue with the people that are trying to turn this into a 3-ring circus, and it doesn't deserve to be that. John, thank you for saying thank you. I appreciate that. Cindy B, your giveaway is in the mail, so let me know when you receive it. And yes, everyone needs to watch the Zab Girl interview. It was absolutely amazing. Clara, you're absolutely right. It was amazing. And Allegedly Innocent was live earlier, but my son and his wife stopped by, and I had to pause that, and I haven't got to finish it yet. But I'm sure whatever information she gave is great as well. So I try to be as positive as I can and to be as sweet as I can, and to just tell you kind of I tell you what I would have to put in a pre-sentence investigation for the court, the facts, and then I give you my opinion from the facts. But I cannot sift this through your brain for you. I wish I could. I wish everyone in the whole freaking world had the common sense and logic, that I think I was blessed with. You know, I've worked for several judges. I've worked for the parole board. I've got commendations and awards, and I wish everyone had the logic and the clear thinking common sense that apparently I've been awarded for the last 15 years of my career. And I try to tell you all, I try to always be appropriate, honest, and truthful. I am not going for views. I'm not going for monetization. I'm not going clicks and likes. I'm going to share information with people that are seeking information and want to discuss it politely and courteously. And what I found out is that about 73% of the population, according to the ratio in the comments, are just people who want to argue. And I'm not here to argue. If you are a fence post, I will walk around you. I do not care to bump into you. You are not on my radar. I do not care if you're in my comment section. But I will say that this is a real case with real people, with a real family that's struggling, that's suffering right now, with real heroes that have done a great job, and with a real little girl that is no longer alive. And before you go and cause drama or try to change the storyline, go watch the information again. If you think someone is not saying something correctly, then go watch the information and do your own YouTube video to correct it. But all this arguing and back and forth and being a butthole and going on, like I've seen so many people jump on panels and like cuss each other out and stuff, and it's like, come on, people. Come on, people. This is not a society that is sustainable. Scott, it's just been random people in the comment section trying to say, oh, you misrepresented this, and y'all, I try to be very clear when I tell you what was said, and then I tell you my opinions based off of what was said. I try to always give you a line of demarcation. I try to always be very careful about that, because that is something, as an officer and as an extension of the court, that I was not ever allowed to give my opinion. So I'm very careful now that I am able to. I'm very careful when I give my opinion. And I try to be very respectful, because there are real people, real lives that hang on what people are saying. And while a lot of people are smart enough not to get on the internet, some families get on the internet and they sift through everything because they miss their loved ones so much. They're willing to hold on to anything, even nastiness, just to keep them alive in their mind. And I would hate for the families to see a lot of stuff that's being said, or a lot of this just nastiness being spread, and a lot of the falsehoods trying to be spread, and a lot of people just don't want to watch the AWP video. They don't want to pay for it. They want to try to troll people into taking screenshots, taking screen recordings, and putting it up to prove them wrong so that they get to watch it without paying. And I think that's just wrong. That's actually just deplorable, if you ask me. So, I am trying to, I am not trying to go out and make a name for myself with this. I'm not trying to, y'all can see my views. You can see my sub base. I like a small, authentic group of people that are really going to discuss stuff. And if they had said, oh, I believe you may have misinterpreted this, go back and please review this and let's talk and see if that was actually the case, I would have been like, hey, dude, okay, let's go back and review this. But if you're just going to be a butthole, go be a butthole elsewhere. And I'm one of those people that I do not want to get into a headbutting competition. I'm too old. I do not care to. But I also don't want people misrepresenting falsehoods in my comment section. And so I want people to be very respectful. And I want people to, you can have an opinion. Make sure you state it as your opinion. And if you think somebody's saying something that needs to be corrected, state it in a courteous manner. Because all this nastiness and this hatefulness and this spitefulness in the comment section is just really, it's old. It's old. And I mean, if I wanted to get hateful and mad and tongue lash somebody, I could do it better than anybody I know. I've had to break murderers that have been double shackled, stuck to a chair, and chained to a floor. I can get real nasty real quick. But that's not who I want to be on this YouTube platform. So I'm trying to be a positive entity. So I understand the struggle with society. I understand that there is not a positive momentum in society, and I understand that people are negative. But I certainly hope to propagate a more positive platform and a more positive union here in this sub base. And that's what I want to see. So if you are truly a negative person and you just want to argue and you just want to be a speed bump, move elsewhere, move on. We don't need you here. I have no problem saying you're not welcome here. The block button is my best friend. I'm old. I don't have time for this crap. I've dealt with people that don't know their hole from a butt in the ground for a long time. And that's not what I'm here to do anymore. I'm not here for that. So, I'm a sweet person until I'm done, then I'm done. Right now, I'm done. I'm very much done. So, um, I think 90% of my sub base are great people. This is a great family, and we love each other. We respect each other. We come together and we talk about great things, and we have fun, and we do stupid stuff, and we craft, and we talk about life and families and happiness. And I don't want to turn into one of those YouTubers that has a negative sub base or has people that routinely come here just to be a jackbutt. Okay, I raised donkeys for 10 years. I know what a jackass is. I don't need somebody to come here and show me what one is. I clearly know what one is. So I just want to make that plain and clear. But at the base root of what I'm fussing at is there are people out there that are actually in pain over this. And there are family members and friends that will latch onto every word said about their loved one. Be careful what you comment, what you say, because it could hurt somebody. Think about someone else before you write something. And as much as I try to come on here and tell you the truth, and I have to say my opinion that may not be the nicest, I try to say it in the nicest way possible. I try to say it the most neutral way possible. But I still try to get my point across. But I'm not like calling somebody an SOB and a piece of trash, and that's just not who I am. But at this point in time, I am done, and I'm a little bit more curt than I normally am. But I really wish everyone would just go pay the $7 and watch the video. I wish I could download it to your brain. Oh yeah, drama, JoJo. It's so much drama. And I do not like drama. Do you know what drama is? Drama is hot air. It's hot air. It's nothing but hot air. It's wasted time. It's wasted energy. It's spinning your wheels. It's not accomplishing anything. It doesn't do anything. And all it does is screw with your ego and screw with your emotions. And those are two things that people really need to understand will screw your life up in a heartbeat, your ego and your emotions. And you need to get them straight. I know who I am. I ain't worth the dirt the good Lord made me out of. So I ain't haughty, ain't nothing like that. But I do know who I am emotionally. I'm a kind hearted person that will stand her ground because I know that I have a decent heart. So when people try to come on here and state that I'm trying to do things for clicks and views and accentuate and dramatize everything, no, not gonna have it. Not gonna have it. I will stand up toe to toe with you, face to face, and say you're lying. So that's just who I am. But I did not expect to think there would be so much hate in the comment section of everyone's pages and even show up in mine. I mean, that to me is astonishing because this is a time when people are mourning. They should be counting their blessings. They should be hugging their loved ones, and they should be thinking about all the things they have to be thankful for. And yet we still have about 50% of the population that just want to create more hardships and drama for people when they go online. And it's just like, good gracious. Now that we have some answers and we've recovered her, we can still talk about our opinions and our thought processes. But you should not go out to start a fight, to lay a false avenue, to lay down false claims, or to lay down a false trail, or to try to divert attention to you so they follow you to a channel. And let's just stop the dirty tricks. Let's just stop the dirty tricks If you don't want to be here and you don't want to hear what I have to say, then don't listen to me. I'm fine with that. But I don't need a big crowd. I just need a crowd that is authentic and truly wants to be here and wants to have two-way communication. So, um, feed the soul, not the ego. Absolutely. That ego will screw you up every time. That little ego will lie to you, make you think you're somebody, and trip you up, and it will take you down the wrong road in life. The ego is the most dangerous thing that you have, and people don't understand that you feed it every time you think you are better than someone else. You feed that ego. That's a dangerous place to be. There are hard truths to be said. There are great opinions to be shared. I've said some hard things to say, but I try to say it in a nice way. But there's been some real hate come across the internet the last few days, and it's astonishing. It's astonishing. And the thing that bothers me the most is the people that hate the hardest that get away with it. The people that are good people that stand up and try to say, no, I'll not have this, are just beaten down over and over again. And it's the people that spread the most hate that win. Because the good people, they think that they're being hateful by standing up and saying, no, I won't tolerate this. If good people would stand up and not tolerate a lot, this nation would be in a much better place. I mean, that's just the point blank truth of it all. We have allowed hate and hateful behavior and tribalism and egos to absolutely eat up our society to the point where we can't even get online and come together as a community and positively talk about something that should make us all desperately aware that our lives are over in the blink of an eye and we should love each other and find being alive a blessing and and share that blessing with everyone we bump into. This world is eaten up by hate and evil. And I think maybe one day we will know what happened in this case. I hope we do. I hope a lot of the truth comes out because I do believe it's foul play. That is my opinion. It's my opinion to have. I believe it's foul play. I believe that it's people in high power and foul play. And for the longest time, you've heard me say, I think it was probably a younger crime aided by older knowledge. And I'm going to stick with that. That's what my gut tells me. I've sat in so many murder trials. I've seen so much. I mean, when I would have to do PSIs for the court, I would have to go through every document that the DA had put together to find the pages that I needed to put together the report for the judge. I had to look at everything, autopsy photos, everything. So I have seen court files on murder cases. And to me, this feels like a younger crime aided by an elder with knowledge. And so I'm excited to see new things come out because I think the family deserve to know what happened to their daughter. I think I think we need as a society to look at this and say, "Oh my gosh, is this where we are? Is this where we are where potentially children are hurting children and perhaps adults are covering it up? Is this where we are?" Because it is reported. If you listen to Jared during that recording that they released today, it is reported that parents picked up their children and told them not to speak to authorities, to shut their mouths. Is that where we are as a nation? There's so much that could be learned from this that could school our society and say this is how far off the path we're supposed to be on that we are. We are so far from what we should be as a society, as humanity. We're so far. But we can't even talk about it on the internet without being hateful. Because we have to find that one word so I can nitpick you, so I can feel better about myself, so I can tear you down. If that is what you get out of bed to do every morning, why do you even get out of the bed? Have a talk with yourself. You need to be getting out of that bed for you. You need to be working on your life. You need to be doing stuff that makes you feel good, that makes you feel positive, that makes you feel like you have completed tasks and checked things off your list and your life is going somewhere. And you know something? Berating someone or being hyper focused on someone else and knocking them for one word or maybe using the wrong vernacular. Get a life. Like I said, it was the psychology of the kids that drugged me into this case. It's not drug, it's dragged. Stupid. Excuse me, I'm a hillbilly. If I want to say drug, I'll say drug. It drugged me into this case. But rather than talk to me like a human being, that was how I was treated. And that is someone who is insecure. That is someone who is intolerant. That is someone who gets on the internet for the wrong reasons. That is someone who looks for people to take down, berate, belittle, because that's how they feel big. And y'all, I'm just not into that. I'm not into that. If I have something nasty to say to you, I will walk up to you and say it to your face. That's how I've always been. I would much rather have an altercation to your face and get it over with than drag it out for months behind your back. Because I don't like stuff. I don't deal with that. If you're gonna have a beef and move on. So I'm having my beef right now. This is my beef. We gotta work harder. We gotta be better. We gotta do more for each other. We gotta start loving each other. We gotta get back to where we understand that there, whatever you pray to, I don't care if you pray to your cat booger, as long as you have a higher power that you pray to, that you hold yourself accountable to, that is something that helps you be a better person. Or you can have your opinion, David. I have no problem with you having your opinion. Have your opinion and share your opinion. But don't go and berate other people or try to pick people apart. And I agree with you. You got to stay with the facts, facts, facts. And a lot of the facts right now lead to a suspicious crime. And we don't know what the ending's going to be. We don't know what the finding's going to be. We all have to wait until the investigation is over. And maybe one day we'll know. But according to Jared and that interview he did with Zav Girl, there are issues and proof that they have on film that would make people's jaws drop to understand how bad this potentially is. What does that mean? I don't know. But it certainly made me go, oh snap, must be something bad. So he even alluded to the fact that this could potentially, blow our minds. I hope we get the answers. I hope we get the answers. I don't know if we will ever know 100%, 90%, 80% of what truly happened that night. But I hope for myself, this is my hope, that a lot of parents are having a lot of conversations with a lot of teenagers. And a lot of teenagers are seeing this and understanding that they are not invincible and that they do have issues and that they do hang around people that are potentially threatening and that young people are capable of horrible things and they have to be aware. They have to be awake. They can't walk through life blindsided. They have to understand that they're coming into an age of accountability and they're going to run into those bad people. So I hope that this is at least creating that narrative where people are talking to their kids and their kids are becoming aware of the world they're growing up in. Because let me tell y'all, this is not the world we grew up in. You can't get on your little BMX bike and come home when the sun's setting. No siree, bub. You better you better be low jacked if you're going to do that these days. So, but I think a lot of people are just trying to troll people into screen recording that AWP video. That will not happen on this channel. It will not happen on this channel. JoJo, excellent. And let's think God's face. And here's the thing, okay? I'm Christian. I'll tell you that from the get go. Y'all can hate me or love me either way for that. I don't care. I don't care what religion or spirituality you follow as long as you denote something that is higher than yourself. Because that keeps people honest and trying harder. That keeps people accountable. It is psychologically proven through research that people that do not hold themselves as the end all be all, they have a higher view. They think something has to hold me, I have to be accountable to this idea of this higher being. But a lot of people only worship themselves. And that's when you start seeing people act out of hate and anger and darkness and self-serving and sabotaging others to feel better. That's where you start to see that negativity come from. And it's so important that everybody look at their heart and seek a spiritual path. And I'm not going to dictate it for you. That's yours. That's yours to dictate. I can't dictate that for you. God gave us all free will. That's what I'm taught. So you have free will to go after whatever spiritual inclination you feel that you need to go after. But look beyond yourself, because happiness is not found in yourself. Happiness is found beyond yourself. Happiness is found in what you bring to others and what you provide to others, and the happiness that you can generate, and the blessings that you can give, and the smiles that you can create, and the laughter that you can add to someone's life. You will never feel better for berating someone. You will never feel better for belittling someone. You will never feel better for making someone cry. But legit, 90% of our society are so hateful. All it is they're out for blood. And we've got to fix this. We've absolutely got to fix this. So, see, Scott, this is my question too. If you're talking about, are you talking about the video of the roadside assistance? That's my question too. Is what it was locked up, or was it provided to law enforcement first? Because law enforcement may have to get a subpoena or warrant to get it. But it's odd that it got snatched up so quick, isn't it? It's odd. It's odd that Jared can tell us on that Zavgirl interview that they have a positive ID for the young man that was with her, but boom, we can't say nothing about it. Boom, that film is locked up. This is all so off kilter for me after seeing so many investigations and how law enforcement works and how the court system works, and watching basically in a trial. What you do is you get to watch the whole investigation and the culmination of it step by step. They retell the entire story, and this one has been so convoluted from the start. It's like no one is doing their job correctly, or they're doing it in a way to lay a false trail. And I just don't like the way that it has progressed. It's made me very leery of what's going on, and that's just my feeling, my opinion to have. But I'm trying to tell you all. I mean, obviously, part of the reason you log on is to get my perspective, but I do try to tell you the honest truth and the facts before I give you my opinion. So I'm trying very, very difficult to lay this down very much in the most respectful, honest way that I can. So I appreciate the guys that are supportive. And like I said, if you can be respectful and disagree and have a challenging thought and do it in a positive manner and actually have a dialogue, that's great. If you can speak with rational thought pattern and logic, that's great. I'm going to talk to you all day long because I don't mind to have a dialogue, and that's fine. You know, I learn a lot that way. But if you're going to be condescending or attacking, I'm going to view you as a fence post, and I don't fight with those. So you can either be a fence post or you can be a positive member of this little society we have going on here. And I certainly hope that you choose to be a positive member of the society. David, this is what I want to know. If they have a positive ID, why don't we have someone at least in custody being held for questioning? They can hold them for so long for questioning. Why don't we have someone being questioned? What's going on? We got a positive ID. What's going on? Why is that person potentially being protected? What's going on? But now from the ID that the roadside assistance man gave, with a straight bill, what was it, San Francisco hat, SF hat, and hair sticking out that wasn't too long but was sticking out under the hat. Y'all, who does that sound like? Who does that sound like? And and we just have to look at this and say, okay, well, that's a theory, that's an option, put this one in the back of my head, and then we have to wait for the facts. But we can sit here and talk about theories and ideas all day long as you do it respectfully. Thank you, Pez. It's very difficult for people that haven't worked in law enforcement to understand the mindset of someone who has. It's very difficult. and they don't understand how particular we can be about facts and opinions and the line that needs to be between them. And so I get very picky about that, and that's why when I share my opinion, y'all know when I share my opinion because I go into hillbilly mode, and when I try to be factual, I try to be a little bit more formal, and I try to clarify that for you all. If I ever screw it up and you can't understand, ask me for clarification. Just do it politely. You know, I've been called so many names in my life that really, oh, if you can spell it correctly, it might hurt. Most people can't. But when I'm on a platform that I can control, there's going to be some crap I'm not going to deal with. So just not going to deal with it. It depends. It depends. They have the authority to protect a juvenile, but if it turns out that that juvenile becomes a part of the active investigation and is charged with something, then we're going to have to know. It's going to be released. There's no way that they can transport him, put him through the court process. It's going to be leaked. So, they have the ability to protect juveniles in certain ways, but once a trial starts, people are going to know. There's really no way to block out all knowledge. Um, and to be quite honest, if anyone is super close to 18, 16 to 8, they're probably going to be charged as an adult anyway, so it's probably going to be released anyway. I would have I would have a hard time thinking that if this was foul play, someone that did this level of premeditation, I would find it hard pressed that they would not go ahead and charge them as an adult. It would not make sense to me if they kept it in juvenile. They would just go ahead and charge them as adult. That's my opinion. So I think that if someone is charged, we will know. Well, he said at the time of the roadside assistance, he did not know who they were, but he should have at least seen through what he said. He felt was very strange. Like her behavior was strange. The things she was asking was strange. She acted hungover, or like she had a really hard day. They were not standing together. They would not be in the same space. They would rotate sides of the car. He picked up on tension. He should have at least reported that. Not he didn't even have to know who they were. He should have at least reported that. If you see a young female that looks like she's in distress with a male with her, you should at least report that. He should have at least reported that. So to me, this is a failure. This is a failure where potentially something could have stepped in and stopped all of this from occurring. And sadly, it's just when you work those jobs, you have to make those immediate decisions whether how I'm going to play this, if I'm going to pursue this and add this to my report or contact law enforcement. He just had to make a decision, and I feel he made the wrong one. And he'll have to deal with that on his own. It's not anything that I can make or break for him. He will have to deal with that in his own heart and make peace with that. But he said that it was a few days or maybe a week later he saw a poster and realized who it was. So then he went back and yes, he had video, and boom, it got locked up. So my question is, did it get locked up before it was provided, or is law enforcement going to have to get a warrant? Are they actively seeking to get that film? Because per Jared and the roadside people and the company he talked with, they do have a positive ID, but it's not being released. And you can go hear that on Zap Girl. Let's see here. Well, I'll say this, David. When I heard Jared on Zap Girl, he said that the dash cam recording was locked up, and one of the people asked if it was provided to law enforcement, and then she said, "Oh, so they may have to go get a warrant." So, according to Jared, it's kind of up in the air. But he has got he like Jared has got. He's like, I've got the talks with the people and more recordings to come out about this case. And apparently, AWP is going to be dropping their recordings. So I think that they are bent on at least getting their truth out there no matter what happens, which hurrah for them. It's their material and they should. I think that Jared knows more than he wants to know at this point from the way that he was speaking. I feel sorry for him because that's a bad position to be in. And I think that they are trying to heavily sway law enforcement to do the right thing. So I hope that law enforcement is doing the right thing. Yeah, and isn't this something? Isn't this defund the police? Wasn't it the stupidest thing in the world? Defund the police. If you take peacekeepers out of communities, then who has control? Because normally the people that go after control in a very, very, very negative way. They go after control because they're seeking power, authority, and they normally have a complex of some kind. So when you take peacekeepers out of the community, that is when you start to see security threat groups, gangs, negative affiliates, and mafia style stuff move in. And because if people are forced to police on their own, it will hardly ever be done by a positive force or positive entity. And I'm not saying that police and law enforcement are always positive entities. I no question that a lot. Let me just tell you, but they at least are under regulation and speculation, and they do have some overhead. So that's why I have hope that we will know what's going on. There are a lot of open ended questions in this investigation. I know that drives a lot of people crazy, but we just have to wait. We just have to wait. And so I probably will not do a whole lot of future talking unless there have been huge breaks or lots of knowledge come out. Because the more you talk, the more you're going to go off on tangents and trails. And I've said about all I can say, and all my opinions are with the facts and the information that we currently have. And I'm not going to sit here and keep like a beagle running a rabbit in a circle. I'm just not going to keep doing that. But if we do have a big break in the case, I will try to bring it up and we'll talk about it. But I think at this time I've said and done all I can say, and I've implored the parents to talk to their kids and really work on it. Well, domestic violence orders, protections, they all work differently in every state, um, and they all work imperfectly. We'll just say that none of them are perfect. But I will tell any female out there, if you feel like you are in danger, you need to contact the authorities and immediately put yourself in a safe place. And if you need a safe house, contact the authorities and tell them you need a safe house. There are safe houses for domestic violence people. Like if you're in a very bad situation, they have unlisted and hidden safe houses. So if you contact the authorities and tell them specifically how you're being threatened and why you may need to be hidden, they can put you in a safe house that is hidden. They have those. So you just have to ask for help. It's very difficult to ask for help. I understand that, but you just have to ask for help. I used to have offenders that were at safe houses, and even some of the safe houses were so strict that when I had to do home visits, I would have to go with law enforcement to do home visits, because I would not be allowed in an unmarked vehicle on the property. So there are really great hidden safe houses for people. A domestic violence order, a piece of paper is not going to protect you. If you ever think you're in a bad position like that, please ask for a safe house, and they do have them, and they have them for both sexes. So just please ask for it. Haley, it's been a day, hasn't it? It's been a really big day. It's been a really big day. David says, "Okay, Miss Hillbilly, don't call me Miss, just call me Hillbilly. You call me Liz. I want to say this because it needs to be said. I'm saying, how come bits, bits, bits just grossly keep coming out, and every time Okay, bits keep coming out because that's how they're wanting it released right now. They're in control of the information and they're releasing bits because they're laying down a path. Okay, so someone that's controlling the information release is doing this on purpose. Let's just let's just put that out there right now because they only release what they want released, so it's being controlled. I mean, that's just all there is to it. If we want to know more, because of this whole juvenile situation, they have the perfect alibi to withhold information because of the juvenile victim, and they can blur the lines a little bit. But if they charge somebody and they charge them as an adult, basically it'll be wide open and we'll know what the crap's going on. So I'm hoping that we start seeing some warrants fly and we start seeing some people get taken into custody and we start to get the full story. But I think that we will all be shocked if we knew the truth. That's just my opinion. I think we would all be shocked if we knew the truth. And who wants justice? I don't know anymore. That's a good question. It changes county by county, state by state, agency by agency. It depends on who is in the lead, who is choosing the force, training the force, and who is the propelling momentum behind the force. When I worked for the state, I worked in 5 to 7 counties, and I saw good officers and I saw crappy officers. And I tried to never have anything to do with the questionable ones because I didn't want to be affiliated and I didn't want my name to be tarnished by affiliation. So I would only go to the people that I could trust and that I knew were going to be honest and do the appropriate paperwork and tell me what I needed to know that was appropriate for the court. So a lot of this is state by state, county by county, community by community. You have to know the people that are behind those badges. So if you don't know who is in your area that has a badge, go and start learning about these people. You need to know who's wearing a badge in your community. And I'm not saying that to be hateful and like investigate them and tear their life apart. Just get to know them as a human being. You will understand and pick up on who you can trust and who you can't trust. And sadly, you will find those that you can't trust. Make sure that you try to emphasize the good ones and just stay away from the bad ones. And that would do a lot to change a lot of the way that our law enforcement forces are built. Scott, I agree. I agree. I've seen so many people that can afford a good lawyer get plea deals that nobody else could get to because that lawyer had a little bit more pull with that judge. Um, that's true. Especially if it's your first crime and you can get a diversion. Oh my gosh, if you get a good lawyer that's well respected and you've got a little bit of money and you kind of bat your eyes and act like a little sacrificial lamb, like you didn't know what you were getting into, that court will almost always have pity on you and give you a diversion to where you can get that felony off your record. I've seen people that have got away with stuff and wiped it off the record that should not have gotten away with it. It should have stuck with them for life. Now, as you spend time in prison and you get past your probation, your determinate release and probation options, you get into parole when you come out and you start having those PCRs, post conviction relief hearings, you almost get no sympathy. And it doesn't matter how much money you have, you get no sympathy. So, money up front and for the first couple of felonies before you actually do real prison time. And I'm not talking about county, I'm talking about 2 to 4 years plus, and you actually go to an institution. Um, yeah, you get a little bit of flex. You can play the sympathy cards. You can play the my daddy is I'm related to. I got this in the bank. You can play that card. I've seen it played. I think it's despicable, but I've seen it played. I hope they continue to release information, and if they do, I will absolutely come down here and try to tell you all if they release it and what they released. But as of today, I think we've discussed all that we can discuss. Oh, David, I agree. I mean, there's so many things that I've been like, why are these people not in custody? Why is this not occurring? I absolutely, absolutely, and especially with 3 tiers of people investigating, we've got the county level, the state level, and the Fed level, and they've not got anyone in custody, and we have recovered a body in a crime scene. and got all of this stuff coming out from a private group that came in for free to do this stuff pro bono, that got all this information. It's a huge question mark. It's a huge question mark. I agree exactly. Jojo, that's pretty good. And Scott, that happens a lot. I've seen a lot of people that were innocent that were locked up, or that were pushed to take the deal to get someone else out of trouble because someone else was technically, per society, more important than them. And that makes me sick. I've seen women take the charge for the boyfriends. Makes me sick. I've seen a lot of I've seen a lot of stuff that makes me sick working in that field. I I agree. I agree. There are a lot of people that go to jail or go to prison, and probably it was all fictitious, or it was pinned on them. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen a lot of stuff with my own eyes that made me honestly challenge why I was even wearing a badge. So I understand exactly what you're saying. But I will counter you and say that I've met some of the most beautiful people I have ever met in my life come out of 20-plus year holds in federal penitentiaries. And when they turned their life around, and they fessed up and gave in and explored their heart and determined that they were worth something, they worked hard to shine. And they shine brighter than anybody I ever saw. So I also know that a lot of people come out and they're great people, and they're some of the best people I've ever known. So you meet good people everywhere. I met some humdingers that came out of prison. I met one man that spent 20 years in prison in Kentucky, and that guy came out. He was 16. He was a co-defendant in a murder. He did not pull the trigger, but he got charged with the same thing. He came out. He gave his life to the Lord. He turned around. He was the best example of a human being I have ever seen. We went through cancer 3 times while he was on my parole caseload. 3 times. I was supervising him for another state. The third time he came in and he said, "Miss Liz, I'm not going to fight it. I'm done." And I about bawled my eyes out, but I said, "I respect your opinion. I know you've been through a lot." And he said, "I've had a good life. I've made my peace. I married a good woman, and I've served the Lord as long as I can, and I'm going to go home." I said, "I'm okay with that if you're okay with that." And I watched him go on hospice at home, and I did my home visits, and I would sit and talk to him, and I watched him waste away. And the last thing I did as his parole officer was plead with the state that had him on supervision. And I pleaded and I said, "Let this man," I said, "go ahead and terminate his parole. Let him off a few years early." I mean, it would have been maybe 20, 22 months. Let him off early. He's on hospice, he's dying. Let him die off paper. Because that was one thing I could at least ask for him. And they denied it and said, "No, you will watch him die and you will send us a death report. You will confirm um, with a certificate that he has passed." That was the best person I ever met. And he taught me more about life than anybody that's never been in prison. He was a fine man. He had a jacked up childhood, and he made bad decisions. But bad decisions do not make bad people. Continued bad decisions make bad people. Yeah, AWP. I mean, their faces. If you've seen investigators and you've worked with crews that do this kind of stuff, once you saw their faces, you knew what was going on. You knew what was going on. David, honey, we've all got to vent. I understand that, and the way you've worded it, I've taken it as venting. I completely understand. Um, it's the people that don't care to vent; they just want to scream at somebody and call you names. Those are the ones that are really irritating me. Um, But I mean, it's really the only reason we're getting it little by little is because somebody's controlling it. So that should tell us all a lot. So I just needed to come on here and vent a little bit myself. So I understand when y'all need to vent too. I needed to vent a little bit myself, but there had been a lot of negativity and a lot of people implying that I was lying or misleading people. I will never ever try to do that to you all. I will never ever try to do that. And matter of fact, we were doing great work with the CRV stuff. I've now talked to a few people, and there are multiple models that will start in neutral, and multiple models that will not. I'm hoping somebody has the exact model and can give us an exact answer. These are all little things that we can figure out for ourselves that are important. It answers our own questions. It helps us kind of, link our own little pathways of thought in our own minds. We're definitely not seeing a lot of help from law enforcement in the area, and we're not being given a lot of facts. So if we can find out those little small things ourselves, it at least gives us something to say, okay, now we know this. It may not be a lot, but it's something that we can at least say, we do know this. And so I'm just waiting for somebody that has a 2013 CRV, same make and model, that can absolutely tell us for sure will it or will it not start in neutral. Now, Jared said when they pulled it out that the wheels rolled when they were the tow truck pulled it out of the water. The wheels were turning, therefore it was in neutral. So that was a big indicator as well for me that okay, this is not a good thing. Um, so there's a lot of stuff that's implied, but if you've not spent a lot of time in this world, you won't pick up on it. And I think there are a lot of people struggling to understand some of the implications and the way that Jared answered the questions without saying certain things. You got to be smart there. He's got to be smart because he's been on the scene. He's handled the recovery. He could be put on the stand and he could be raked over the coals. And I understand he's got to be super careful with his words. So I understand why he answered a lot of things the way he answered. He's a very smart man. But we do know the wheels rolled when they towed it out. That vehicle was in neutral. Oh yeah, I found it reassuring. Him and Ryan will get stuff straightened out. I think a lot of it is just a lot of the communication, and I think both of them have been overwhelmed with people reaching out and trying to contact. And then there was apparently even a concern that somebody was trying to scam and act like Ron. So now that those two have linked up, I have absolutely um, no question in my mind that Ron will do whatever he said he was going to do. I actually got to chit chat with him on Instagram not too long the other night, and he asked the same questions that we all ask. What do you think this is? Have you ever seen anything like this? He is in the same motivational space headspace we all are. And everybody was so mad because they were saying he didn't believe the girl existed. How rude. I don't believe that was it at all. I believe that he had worked so hard on trying to understand this that when he got to the end of the understanding and everything went poof and nothing made sense, that he had to start from scratch and therefore he had nothing. And so he was back at stage one. Do I even know this girl existed? Do I even know this really happened? Do I even he just had to go back to square one. And he was frustrated and he got defensive. And I don't think he was trying to be disrespectful. I think he was frustrated, and that's how it came out because he was back to square one where he was questioning everything. And so I think a lot of people misconstrued his behavior. And I think sometimes he says stuff to try to prompt other people to give feedback. And and sometimes he says it in such a cryptic way, it's hard to discern. But I will say that if you ever have an immediate chat with a boy or a conversation with a boy, he is hard as gold. He is exactly who he acts like on YouTube. He's super sweet, super respectful, calls me ma'am, makes me mad. But he is a genuine good old boy. And I don't think he's got a mean bone in his body, to be quite honest. I think you'd like to think he does. I don't think he does. Now, he'd probably get mad that I said that, but I don't care. But I have no question in my mind that he will follow through with whatever he pledged to them. and I know it's going to bless them substantially and help a lot of families. Oh, Scott, you're fine. No, yeah, you know, it's when you start breaking out the "you're a F and B line piece of shit." You know, it's like stop it. It's like stop it. I wish if people had to say nasty things to people, they had to stand 6 inches away from them and say it to their face. Because I have yet to meet anybody that will stand 6 inches away from me and say anything negative. So, my shoulders are broader than my husband's. Y'all have seen us on camera. I used to pull 800-pound bulls around and teach them to lead. I could make them pee down both legs. So I'm very, very assured of myself. Even as my body in this neuromuscular disorder is jacking me up, I still have strength to call on for a few minutes at a time. And I'm not the nicest looking person. If you see me and you can see all of me and not just what I put in the camera, I'm a big old buxom gal. I got 19-inch biceps. My muscles are leaving me now, but I'm still pretty impressive. And I got a left sleeve and I got half a back done. I'm not the sweetest looking person. So I've never met anyone that would come up to my face and say anything nasty. Now, I've had people in my community, because I've supervised family members or people that they've known, get really sassy and say nasty things. And I'll see them at Walmart and I'll just wave. Because I'm like, do you need to have a problem? Do you want to say it to my face? I'll just kind of wave, like, hey. And they will run. And so, it's, if you're going, I am just one of those people who have a problem with you, I'm going to bring it to you and we're going to work through it. We're either going to have a beef and we're going to realize we're not people that can cohabitate and need to leave each other alone, or we're going to work through it. But these people that just add stuff on, that are just like little ankle biters, oh, it irritates me to death. It irritates me to death. And I'm just like, dude, get a new hobby, think more of yourself, do better in life, be a better person, find a better spot in your heart, because you're not helping anyone, especially yourself. Oh, Scott, he got tunnel vision. He got way too emotionally attached to this, got tunnel vision. And then when his storyline or his avenue of thought went poof, he got so frustrated. So frustrated. And he's still relatively young, y'all. I mean, I know 30 is used to be very mature, but 30 is now like the new 21. People are hanging on to that juvenile mindset a lot longer. And while Ryan has a great way that he thinks and his brain clicks in a very special way, he still is a relatively young person. And because he was so famous so young and he's been kind of isolated, there's been a lot of stuff that he's not been allowed to experience like the rest of us. So we have to think about those things when we look at his behavior as well. I think he's a great young man. I'm proud he's from Tennessee. I'll back him 110%. If he does something I think is stupid, by God, I'll tell him about it. And I think that's why we jive so well. So, I'm just point blank honest with him. I do mama hen him to death, but he tolerates me pretty well. Soapbox. Yeah, they're going to talk privately. We won't know what's been said because Ryan said he will not tell anybody what's going to be said. But I have every confidence that he will do what he said he would follow through and do for them, and I think it's going to bless him substantially. Okay, David, I'm having a hard time processing that, so I'm intrigued and listening with all of my heart and mind. You just brought up money. This situation was all the way thought of because people who committed this horrible crime already knew that. Okay, dude, grammar, punctuation, slow down, smaller sentences, subject, verb, predicate. Let's try it again. Um, the money that's going to AWP that's coming from Ryan has nothing to do with the people that committed horrible atrocities. It's just Ryan wanting to help AWP, and I have every confidence Ryan will do that. I think you need to try again because I do not. I'm hoping I'm processing that wrong. I really do. Okay, as long as y'all figured it out, that's good. That's good. I'll have to go back through and read the comments closer later because I'm trying to do 5,000 things at once. In my opinion, mom looks like she struggles. Yeah, yeah. I normally when people run those isolated places, they do it for a reason. Um, and I don't know what that reason may be, but I do pick up when I look at mom that she's had some hardships. Um, and my heart goes out to her because this cannot be easy. But when I saw them in the press conference, her and the father, they looked. I mean, the emotions on their body and their body language, it just they looked like they felt betrayed. And the father, the bit of recording that was released by AWP when they confirmed that they had found her in the vehicle, the father acted as if he already knew she was there. He was frustrated that they had overlooked her, and you could tell that they had already prepared themselves for this, had already guessed that it was going to be a worst case scenario, and that they were already having frustrations with the investigation. I mean, that was no big secret. That you could just. I mean, he verbalized it. Well, a lot of people don't get what they need from public education or even private education. Even the private schools suck anymore. Let's just be honest. A lot of education now is indoctrination. I mean, let's just be honest. Everything in society now has a motive, a motivation, a momentum, a doctrine. There is no just for the good of all anymore. It is for the good of my group, for the good of my belief, for the good of my tribe, for the good of my political party. It's we're very sinister beings anymore. It's not just for the good of everyone. And until we really link up and realize that we're all precious, society is just going to continue to break down. And people think, oh, well, we're so advanced, society will not break down. We are less advanced than we were hundreds of years ago. If you look at the societies they built, the handiwork they could do, the leaps they were making in oh gosh, just understanding navigation, math, construction. We are so we've just degraded as a society. We can't build. They say that we can't build the buildings that were built in the 17 and 1800s. We've lost that ability. How do you lose a skill like that, especially when you still have examples on your planet? How do you lose a skill set like that? We are losing important things. We are devolving, if you ask me. We are losing ourselves, and it's because we are turning and looking internally for all the answers instead of linking hands and saying, "Hey, let's all help each other out." Because how much can one person know? Not a lot. I need all of my friends to help me cover all of my blind spots, and they need me to help me cover theirs. And together we're stronger. But when we isolate and pull apart and become so hate filled, how can you expect society to go any way but down? We've placed so many things so much more important than humanity, society, happiness, and it's stupid. It's stupid. At the end of the day, it's just so juvenile and stupid. Yes, Dad's reaction was horrible. I mean, it was, you could see that he was prepared but frustrated because he already had that inclination and knowledge. He just didn't want to absolutely have to believe it, and that made it real. A lot of people have said that you could see the car underwater in the drone footage. Um, I've looked at several different things, and when they start toying it out, you absolutely can see. I can't state that before they hooked the tow truck to it that I could have made it out where it was. So somebody with, but my eyes are crap. I have an eye appointment in the morning, y'all. Hey, my glasses are finally going to get up. But I can't state that I could have seen it. But if you could see it, that's great. My eyes are crap. You know, a lot of people that do learn how to question things and use a less linear thought pattern do horrible at school but excel in life. That's just the truth of it. They want to teach us a linear thought pattern because people that think linear in a linear pattern are easier to like bring into conformity. Um, and your brain gets used to that linear thought pattern, and it tries to always seek that out and find comfort in it. And so in a lot of ways, going to school is just being taught how to think, how to respond if you think wrong, and how to fit in. And I'm not big on those things either. I think everybody needs to do their own thing, and that's how we're more powerful and stronger society, if we embrace everyone's differences and everyone's skills and talents. Oh gosh, Daniel, hang on to your hind end, roll your britches up. It's getting deep in here. Yeah, I didn't have the happiest childhood either. I got put in a lot of positions that I did not want to be in, and I had to I had to be a protective person for someone I should not have had to protect, and I had to grow up really fast. And then I had to make a plan to get out of there really fast because I knew I was not going to survive much longer there. So I've not always had unicorn farts and glitter, but that doesn't mean that the rest of your life has to be bad. It means that you understand what horrible things are, you acknowledge that they exist, and you try to stay away from them. And you use a heads up scenario because you have a better radar to know things are going to go south. And you learn how to make better boundaries. So, in many ways, yeah, I had some sucky issues when I was in my childhood that I had to deal with, but it gave me the boundaries that I needed as an adult to make a great home for my children and give them the childhood I never had. So since my kids got to have a great childhood and was protected from all of that, I don't care that I went through it. I've made peace with that. That's my peace with it, is I was able to give my kids what I couldn't have because I experienced it, they didn't have to. And that's how I look at it. You hope not, you can't swim. I tell you what, it's been a wild day. I'm glad to see you in here. When you don't show up, I worry about you. I know you're not far down the mountain, but I still worry about you. Amen, Haley. Until we stop this toxic masculinity crap. You want to know something? You want to know a secret? Females are more toxic than men. Men are just trying to be the role. Because here's the thing: if you're in a relationship with a strong man, you're able to be a softer woman. And I can tell you that because I was married to a piece of crap the first time, y'all. Let me tell you what. You want to talk about picking the dud? I picked the dud the first time. You're going to learn from my mistake. Let me tell you what. I was stupid and naive and basically just trying to marry to get away. And I picked a dud. And he was weak. And he was weak minded. And he was weak in the flesh. And he was temperamental. And because he was such a weak man, I had to be such a strong force to try to balance out the relationship that he grew to resent me. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't mind being a strong woman. I look like a freaking man half the time anyway. If I put a ball cap on, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But he became very resentful of my strength. And so when we divorced, I made a list of things I would never tolerate again. And by golly, if somebody asked me out if they had one of those qualities on that list, I said no. Get away from me. I'm looking for somebody to raise my children. I'm looking for a life partner. I'm not looking for another piece of crap that I have to tend to like a third child. And when I met my husband, David, and y'all have seen him, you can go look at him on the couples chats. He is a big man. He is a man's man. Do you know that's the first time in my life I've ever been able to act like a woman, to be able to go to the softer side of myself? to be able to have all those soft mothering instincts, make the freaking brownies, clean the house, sing the nursery rhymes because I wasn't trying to keep up with a stupid man that wasn't pulling his goddamn weight and act like he had a sack. Let these men be men. Society needs men. We need those strong men so that we can have those soft women so that these kids have balance. Now, I'm a hard-edged woman. You put me in a deer blind. I can bring home dinner. I can cut it up and I can put it on the table and you hang it in a tree. I can take it apart. But I would much prefer to be a softer person, and I would much prefer to know that I have someone in my corner that knows that his family is precious and he's doing everything he can to protect them. Why have we turned men into women and women into men? But now we can't define either one, and we've got everybody questioning what they are. Well, guess what? Confusion and self-doubt, they make you grasp onto any authority or leadership that you think. It's like rats off a sinking ship. If you can't trust yourself, you will latch onto anything you feel you can. We are being turned into rats on a sinking ship because the people that are in control want us to grab onto anything afloat and think it's better than what we have internally within us to be. So let the men be men and let the women be women. And I got no problem if you're a tomboy or if you have an alternative lifestyle, be what you need to be. But don't dog somebody else for being what they're supposed to be. But when you're confused and you have self-doubt and you don't know what's right or wrong, you will latch onto any leadership that you think is a better option. Trust yourself. Trust yourself before you trust anybody else trying to sell a vote. I'll tell you, my first marriage was horrible. He made a temp agency secretary in 3 days, left me with 2 toddlers. You want to talk about mad? I sat there and cried for 3 days, and then I had a realization. I could bring 800-pound bulls to their knees in fear when I halted broke show cattle. And I let 150 pounds whip me? Heck no. I stood up, dusted off my knees, wiped my tears, and said, "Kiss my butt, boy, I'm going home and I'm going to start over." And I left. And he just hit sorry and kept going. He never picked up the kids. And when he got married to the woman that he is having an affair and ran off with, he wanted to drag her under my nose. Well, listen here, son. I got no beef with you anymore. I didn't cut you loose. I won't have a dog that'll run trash, let alone the man that will. So I don't care who you want to drag under my nose. It don't mean crap to me. But I didn't want my kids around that woman. But I had no right to say, no, you can't take the kids on your weekends. But he got tired of playing house. He got tired of running the roads. He wouldn't pay child support. He wouldn't pay half doctor bills. He wouldn't do this. And finally, he stopped allowing me to make doctor appointments through his insurance that he had to keep on the kids. So our child had to have a repeat oral surgery, but I could not make the appointment, and he would not return my calls. And I had to go and get state insurance because my child had an infection so bad and he had to go back into oral surgery. And the state said, "You've been abandoned. Those kids have been abandoned. You need to file abandonment." And I was like, "Hey, look, I've been abandoned for a long time now. I died. What was the good putting a name on it? I didn't know what he's done." And the state said, "When's the last time we paid child support?" And I was like, "He's paid like 2 times in his whole life." And they were like, "Well, let us take over this and we'll put insurance on the kids and help you with your daycare," because I was working full time and going to school. And I said, "Deal. I'll take that deal." Well, I couldn't find him to tell him. They were trying to notify him. They couldn't find him to tell him. He called me 4 months later. He didn't know that in that year, basically, I had moved on and I had just gotten remarried because he had been MIA. He called my mother's house and he was like, "I need to talk to, and she was like, "We'll call her home." And he's like, "Well, where did she move to?" And she's like, "She just got remarried." And he was mad. Hello. Ain't none of your business. So he called and he got hold of Dave. He called 3 times that day wanting to talk. While I was working, I was doing medical transcription and I was working Saturday ER shift, nuclear medicine. And Dave was like, "She's not home yet. She's not home yet. She's not home yet." So he finally called, and I just walked through the door. Dave handed me the phone. I said, "What the heck do you want? Why are you bugging me?" I was like, either put some child support in the mail or pick these kids up on a weekend, but I haven't talked to you in 9 months. What the heck do you want? And he was like, "Well, I need you to write a note telling the state that you'll allow me to pay you back what I owe you in increments." And I was like, "Bud, you don't owe me nothing. You owe the state. That's why the state's knocking on your door." He's like, "What?" And I was like, "Our kid needed another oral surgery. I couldn't schedule the appointments. You wouldn't allow me to talk to the insurance. You wouldn't return my phone calls. They was either file abandonment or take this state insurance and let us help you." I said, "I let them help me." I said, "Therefore, I turned my child support over to them." I said, "You owe them, not me." And he said, "They're taking a warrant out for me." I said, "Boy, sucks to be you." He said, "Don't you care?" And I said, "I stopped caring for you the moment you stopped caring for me. Do not ever ask me that again." He said, "Well, this is going to hurt me." And I said, "I am not here to make your life easier anymore. It's not my job. Go cry to your new wife." I mean, when I'm done, guys. I'm done. I'm telling you. I hit a hard nope and I'm done. And 3 days later, he asked for David to adopt the kids. He asked him that night, solidified it 3 days later, and because he didn't have an attorney, he had to write the state, request to terminate his rights, ask for David to be able to adopt. We had to go through 5 meetings where we paid attorneys for him to come in and be questioned to make sure he wanted to proceed. He had to sign a document every time. And then finally, we went through the adoption, and we had to pay for it all, of course. And the judge left the gavel, and David adopted my kids. From that day forward, I was happy because my kids were being raised by somebody that was going to show them the right way to be. And I knew that I was going to marry David. Um, One of the very few times we actually got to go on a date because I always had children. So he had to see me at community events and church and stuff. Um, I was sitting in the cab of his truck and we were going to get dinner. And he had said something super sweet. And he had been working on the rescue squad that day and it had actually helped recover somebody that had tragically fallen over a cliff. And he had handled it so great, and he had gone home, got cleaned up, and was still taking me on this date, was still in a good mood, and was just such a strong just a strong person. And he was still so tender at the same time. And I thought, if my little boy grows up to be like this man, I've done something right. And that's the moment I knew I was going to marry my husband. And I'm here to tell you, men need to be men, women need to be women. And I don't care if you need to be who you need to be, but don't knock men being men and women being women. Not everybody needs to be a unique freaking unicorn, butterfly, whatever. Some people are just okay being men and women. And oh, we've got this whole uniqueness stuff going crazy. And I've worked with people with gender dysphoria and all this other stuff. And I will tell you that there are about 3% of people that do benefit from a surgical transition because of, normally it's a birth defect. They were born and biology was not kind, or they have a true issue with gender dysphoria and identify purely as the other gender. It's about 3% that truly need that transition. This other's pure fluff. And that's why we're seeing all the detransitioners right now. And I have no hate for anybody. I want everybody to follow their own path. But don't dog someone else because their path is different from yours. And that's what we're doing right now to men and women. Y'all, just be yourself. And when you run across somebody, be kind to them. Show them the softest side of your heart so that maybe when they run into someone else, they'll show them the softest side of their heart. And if you have to show a boundary and be aggressive, do it out of love and because you know it's going to protect you or your loved ones. Don't do it because you think you just need to have an ego moment. And be very careful how you display yourself. You affect other people every day in society. Little eyes are watching, little ears are listening, and people soak up every behavior they witness. Just try to be good. Just try to be good. And if you find yourself in a bad position, evacuate. Don't stay somewhere where it's going to be combative and you're going to be placed in harm's way. Evacuate. But I think the biggest problem we have is we don't love ourselves enough to start loving other people. Because what you cannot do to yourself, you can't do for someone else. And if you can't love yourself, you can't love another person. And we just do not have enough empathy and sympathy in society, and we've got to work on that. And it shows in the comment sections on YouTube, it shows in our police forces, our badged people, our people in control, our judicial system. It shows, I mean, the breakdown is massive. And so when I start to see a breakdown in my comment section, I'm going to talk about it. So I'm an open book. I really have nothing to hide. I think we all learn from each other. But energy is a big part of life, and positive energy is a big part of winning life. So we all need to be positive. If you can't be positive, please go talk to somebody. Go talk to somebody and try to find somebody that can help you be positive. If you don't love yourself, go talk to somebody. Go find somebody that can help you start to love yourself. Everybody is worthy of love, especially to love yourself. So I know people that are in comment sections struggle. A lot of them have nothing better to do than to pick on other people. But I'm just going to tell you, I don't tolerate that well. I'm not going to start a huge battle in the comment section. I'm going to address it and I'm going to move on. So hopefully I never have to talk about this again. But for y'all that come here for the right reasons, I love yous. Y'all really add a lot to my day. I was so upset when I had to leave my career and I had to stay home. And this is a great outlet for me. I love to socialize, I love to interact. And when I meet positive people, it really does help my life have that positive energy that I miss. So I really appreciate everybody that comes here in the right frame of mind. And even if you need to vent like Scott, I'm going to listen to you. As long as you can vent in a polite way, hey, we're good. We're going to be great. We're going to be great. But I'm just not going to tolerate straight belligerency. Just, no, I'm too old. I'm too old. So there are people that I will just say, sorry, you don't belong here. And I'm going to do that because I care enough to protect everyone else that does belong here. And if you can't create that boundary, I will do it for you. That is what I will give you on this channel. I try to create a safe space. So I appreciate everybody that joined in. I'm super tired now. It's been a super trying day. Everybody toss up good vibes for Kylie's family, for AWP, for Ryan. I know Ryan's had a rough day. He's had a lot to compost today as well. If you know somebody that's struggling, reach out to them. Make sure if you're a parent of teenagers, you're having the appropriate conversations with them, prepare them for life. And just make sure that you get up every day and count your lucky stars and your blessings. Because you know something, there's so many people that don't have tomorrow coming. And if we wake up, we're lucky. So count your blessings. Let's stop counting the negatives. We've got too much to be thankful for. There are too many beautiful people in the world to be stuck on the sorry ones. So as this story progresses, I'll talk about it more. But right now, I think I've done all I can do other than chase my tail. And I'm not going to chase my tail for views. So if something breaks, I'll bring it to you. Otherwise, we're going to go back to our regularly scheduled programming of me being stupid, crafting, and getting prepared to be a grandma. So great things are coming in my life, and I'm excited for the next chapter. And I want y'all to be excited, and I want to share that happiness with you. I don't always want to talk about doom and gloom. So we've probably got less than a week, and baby will be here. And I hope I have beautiful pictures to share. And I'm wanting to do a maternity photo shoot share with you all as soon as I get them all tweaked and edited just right. I want to share positive things with you all as well. So I really want us to come here and be happy. Even if we have to talk about some darker things, I want you to leave feeling as though you've sat with a good friend and had a good conversation and your heart has healed a little bit. But I really want to talk about happy things. So let's get back to happy things. So maybe tomorrow we can make some fur earrings and we can look at all the baby shoes that I've been given by a dear friend. They're so freaking adorable. And actually was able to purchase secondhand one of those Ingenuity light music swings that you could hook your phone up to. It blows my mind how far baby stuff has come. And actually had my son and my daughter-in-law visit for a while this evening, and that little baby was just kicking, just whatnot all the time. Mama's belly was just a jarring, and I kept saying, "Come on, move south, come on out." So I'm ready for you to be here. So I'm hoping we have some positive, happy stuff to talk about here very, very soon. Oh, I'm so excited! I'm so excited. This is just, I mean, I've needed this. My health has needed this. It's given me a kind of a renewed purpose, and I have made it the longest I've made it without a hospitalization um, in a decade now. So I'm at like two, just a little over 2 years without a hospitalization, almost. I think I'm doing better than I've done in a long time, and it's difficult, and I have to really watch myself. But I'm super excited and just trying to stay healthy and deal with this disorder that is very much like MS. Just it's not able to be controlled. I just have to deal with it and cope with it. And I'm making peace with it a little bit more every day. I'm telling you, the swing is neat. And as soon as I get, they forgot to send the plug. And so, bless their sweethearts, they ordered me one on Amazon and mailed it to me. So it should be here tomorrow. And as soon as I can get it plugged up and working, I'll share it with y'all. I'm totally going to be cranking up some rock and roll, though, because that little baby's going to know the good music. So we'll do some lullabies, but we're going to do some Queen and some other stuff too. So, Scott, I appreciate you hanging around and being patient and talking and venting, but doing it in a positive way. It's okay. Sometimes we all need to vent, but you did it in a very positive way, and I appreciate that. And please come back. And I really enjoyed your input. And y'all, I really appreciate you. It is 1 a.m. I'm going to go to bed. Y'all have a great day tomorrow, and I will try to check in as soon as I can. I love y'all. Good night.